A very good morning. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television and I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. In the next half an hour, we will get you all the latest news from national, international and sports front. But before that, a quick look at the top headlines. Centre briefs opposition on China's standoff and Kashmir situation, says Sikkim issue will be resolved diplomatically. Opposition says national security paramount. Guwahati High Court stays Nagaland Governor's directive to Chief Minister to seek floor test by July 15. Hearing on petition by Chief Minister Lizitsu on Monday. RJD-JDU rift widens. Nitish Kumar's party asked Tejasvi Yadav to come out clean over the graft allegations. Lalu says son won't quit, assures Grand Alliance intact. No let-up in the flood situation in northeast. Death toll in 3 states of Assam, Arunachal and Manipur touches 83. And Venus Williams and Garbine Muguruza to clash for the women's title at Wimbledon today. Roger Federer sets up title clash with Marin Cilic on Sunday. The Guwahati High Court has stayed till Monday the Nagaland Governor's directive to State Chief Minister Surojili Lizitsu to seek a trust vote in the Assembly on or before July 15th. The High Court stayed Governor's P.B. Acharya's order on a plea by Chief Minister Lizitsu. The petition argued that the Governor's directive was ex facie unconstitutional, illegal, arbitrary and violative of the basic features of the Constitution. It said that the process of by-elections in which the Chief Minister is seeking to be elected is already under the process and that the trust vote should be sought after the polls. It also said that Governor virtually sought to strangulate the will of the Council of Ministers and have used the office of Governor to suit his political aims. Meanwhile, the Council of Ministers led by Chief Minister Lizitsu called on Governor P.B. Acharya, who reportedly told the Chief Minister to bring out reconciliation among legislators. The Democratic Alliance of Nagaland Coordination Committee said the coalition and that the crisis was only within the NPF party. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has announced election dates for the 10 Rajya Sabha seats in Gujarat, West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. The elections will include a biennial poll for 9 seats and a by-poll for Union Minister Anil Dave's seat from Madhya Pradesh on August 8th. Dave, whose term in the upper house was to end in 2022, passed away on May 18th. The last date for filing nominations is July 28th, which will be scrutinized the next date. The votes will be counted on August 8th. The elections will affect several prominent members, including the upper house, including Union Minister Smriti Irani, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechury and Trinamool Congress leader Derek O'Brien, whose terms are ending on August 18th. The election to the 9 seats from West Bengal and Gujarat were originally announced for June 8th, but on May 22nd, the Election Commission postponed the poll, saying that it will clash with the July 17th presidential election. The Delhi High Court has rejected the petition of Madhya Pradesh Public Relations Minister Narottam Mishra, effectively meaning that he will not be able to vote in the presidential election on 17th of July. The Election Commission had nullified Mishra's election in 2008 over a paid news case and disqualified him from contesting any election for 3 years. Mishra had challenged his disqualification in the Supreme Court. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court transferred his case from Madhya Pradesh to the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court reserved its judgment on Thursday and today it rejected his petition. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has called an all-party meet ahead of the Monday's monsoon session. The meeting has been called on Sunday. During the meeting, the Lok Sabha Speaker will seek cooperation from the floor leaders of different parties in the Lok Sabha to ensure smooth transaction of business in the House. The monsoon session of Parliament will start from Monday and will continue till 11th of next month. NDA's presidential nominee Ram Nath Kovind and his rival Meera Kumar continue to seek support for their candidature from across the country for the 17th July polls. Opposition's nominee Meera Kumar will visit Odisha today During her day-long visit, Kumar would meet legislators of the Congress party in Bhubaneswar. After their nominations last month, Kumar and Kovind have been visiting various states as a part of the campaign for the top constitutional post. Kovind, on the other hand, would visit Gujarat. BJP President Amit Shah and Gujarat BJP in charge Bhupendra Yadav will accompany Kovind. During the day-long visit, the former Bihar governor is expected to meet top BJP leaders and other NDA leaders. Home Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defence Minister Arun Jaitley briefed the opposition leaders on the standoff with China and the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. Several prominent leaders from 19 political parties attended the meeting. The briefing was also attended by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar. The importance of India and China to remain engaged through diplomacy was also underlined. After the meet, MEA spokesperson Gopal Bagle said that the leaders have affirmed their support to the government on the issue of the border standoff with China. The government, which is aiming to build a consensus on its approach to China, said that it wants to find a solution through peaceful talks. On the issue of Kashmir, the opposition said that government too agreed that there were security lapses. The issue with China and growing unrest in the Kashmir Valley are likely to be raised by the opposition parties in the parliament session beginning next week.
आम राय ये थी कि राष्ट्रीय हित के साथ में कोई समझौता नहीं हो सकता है और सबने कहा कि हम दलगत भावना से ऊपर उठ करके सरकार के साथ हैं। इसलिए इसमें जो है सब लोगों ने जो है सरकार का साथ देने का वादा किया।
अमरनाथ यात्री जो मिलिटेंटों के द्वारा मारे गए उसमें भी चर्चा था, उसमें भी हमने स्पष्ट बताया कि पूरा देश और पूरा जम्मू कश्मीर खड़ा हो गया था उन यात्रियों के साथ, उनके परिवार के साथ। तो एक उन्होंने अपॉर्चुनिटी दी है कि एक दरवाजा खोला है कि हम अपनी सहानुभूति दे रहे हैं देश के साथ और हम मिलिटेंटों के खिलाफ है। अब केंद्रीय सरकार को भी कोई खिड़की खोलनी चाहिए।
उन्होंने कहा बातचीत के आधार पर मामला को सुलझाएंगे, ये सरकार का कहना है। अमरनाथ यात्रा पे उन्होंने कहा कि जो भी है मतलब वो कारण, वो गलतियां, जो लैप्सेस जो हुई उसके बारे में स्पष्टीकरण दिया।
On to more news from Jammu and Kashmir, where the state government has constituted a special investigation team to investigate the terror attack on Amarnath pilgrims in Anantnag district on 10th of July. The 6-member team is being headed by DIG South Kashmir SP Pani. 7 Amarnath pilgrims were killed and 21 others were injured in a terrorist attack on their bus, which was on the way from Baltal to Jammu. The attack drew widespread condemnation from all shades of opinion in the valley, including separatist groups. Police blamed the Lashkar-e-Taiba for the deadly attack, but the outfit denied any involvement. The JDU has asked the RJD to come clean on the allegations against party minister Tejasvi Yadav with facts and not to display arrogance of having 80 MLAs. Yadav, the son of RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad, is the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar and has been named by the CBI as an accused in its probe into land for hotels scandal. Lalu Prasad Yadav, on the other hand, has said that there is no threat to the Grand Alliance in the state.
The political crisis in Bihar continues to deepen over the CBI probe against the son and daughter of RJD Chief Lalu Prasad. While the RJD has categorically ruled out the resignation of Tejasvi Yadav over corruption charges, it has also denied any threat to the Grand Alliance.
कि गठबंधन हमारा टूट है और राष्ट्रीय जनता दल के तरफ से राष्ट्रीय जनता दल कोई ऐसा स्पेस नहीं देगा भारतीय जनता पार्टी को आरएसएस को यहाँ पैर रखने के लिए। ये सारा खेल जो हो रहा है ईडी का, सीबीआई का या जो भी हो रहा है दिल्ली के सरकार के द्वारा यहाँ के गठबंधन के सरकार को खंड खंड करने के लिए, तोड़ने के लिए।
But alliance partner JDU is likely to take a call on the matter after its national executive meeting in Delhi this month.
नीतीश कुमार जी का नाम चेहरे पर 80 विधायक आज विधानसभा में प्रवेश किए हैं। और जहां तक चुप्पी का सवाल है तो नीतीश कुमार जी ने पार्टी फोरम में अपनी बातों को रख दिया कि तथ्य के साथ सामने तथ्य के साथ उनको अपने आना चाहिए आगे। और नीतीश कुमार जी जब चुप्पी तोड़ते हैं तो समझ लीजिए कहीं न कहीं गाज गिरेगा ही निश्चित तौर पर।
हमारा गठबंधन सफलतापूर्वक चल रहा है, बिहार के विकास कार्यों में संलग्न है। भ्रष्टाचार को लेकर के और नैतिक मूल्यों की रखवाली को लेकर के जरूर मुख्यमंत्री जी ने वक्तव्य दिया है, जो जनता दल यू समेत महागठबंधन के सभी विधायकों, सांसदों और मंत्रियों पर लागू होता है।
Matters peaked earlier this week with the RJD chief meeting his MLAs and blaming the BJP for carrying out a campaign of vendetta against his family. Facing a belligerent RJD, the JDU is reaching out to the Congress to convince the RJD to soften its stand.
श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी परिवार की मुखिया हैं और वो गठबंधन के मित्रों से अक्सर बात करती हैं। किसी भी वार्तालाप की हम राजनीतिक चर्चा टेलीविजन के माध्यम से कभी नहीं करते। कांग्रेस अध्यक्षा भिन्न भिन्न मित्र राजनीतिक दलों से समय समय पर बात करती हैं, उसको लेकर राजनीतिक कयास लगाया जाना सरासर गलत है।
The BJP is also mulling its options. It has stepped up the pressure on the JDU to drop Tejasvi from the cabinet.
मेरी अपेक्षा होगी नीतीश कुमार अगर शुचिता और ईमानदारी से अपनी राजनीति चलाने का दावा करते हैं तो आज उनके उप मुख्यमंत्री के खिलाफ गंभीर आरोप है, संगीन आरोप है। इन बातों का उत्तर देना जरूरी है कि क्या किसी को होटल दिया गया और बड़ी जमीन पुरस्कार में ली गई नियमों की अवहेलना करके, तो बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
At the heart of the political developments are multiple cases of corruption, not only against Lalu Prasad but also his family members, including Tejasvi Yadav, daughter Misa Bharti and her husband. Earlier this week, the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate conducted searches at the residence of Lalu Prasad's family over corruption in giving tenders of 2 hotels to a private company when he was railway minister. The CBI has named Lalu Prasad's wife Rabri Devi and Tejasvi among the accused. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's take a look at other national news and developments nationwide. 7 persons were killed and 25 others, including some women, seriously injured when a Tamil Nadu government transport bus rammed into a mini lorry at Vallam Overbridge in Thanjavur. The bus was proceeding from Tirupur to Kumbakonam with about 60 persons. The mini lorry was proceeding to Tiruchirappalli. The Maharashtra government has extended the scheme to disburse 10,000 rupees as financial assistance to needy farmers till August 31st. The Devendra Fadnavis government has on June 13th announced 10,000 rupees as interim assistance to farmers for purchase of seeds and fertilizers. The deadline of the scheme was fixed at July 15th. In a first, a forensic test was conducted on an EVM on the orders of Delhi High Court to check whether it can be tampered with. The lab gave its clearance, saying there is no evidence of manipulation in the machine. The order was issued to rule out tampering during the elections to Maharashtra Legislative Assembly in 2014. The court had also asked the lab to find out whether there was any additional memory chip with other data that could be activated to alter results of an election. Railways Minister Suresh Prabhu on Friday dedicated the country's first solar-powered demo train to the nation at an event in New Delhi. The 1600 horsepower train with solar-powered coaches had special battery bank for use during night hours. The train will run from Sarai Rohilla in Delhi to Farukh Nagar in Haryana. The Income Tax Department has identified 5.56 lakh persons whose cash deposit post-note ban were found inconsistent with their tax profiles. According to the Finance Ministry, another 1 lakh persons have been identified who did not disclose all bank accounts during e-verification in the first phase of Operation Clean Money. And with that, we'll slip into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
If you see at the time of independence, nearly 16 million ton, 16.5 million ton production was there. But nowadays production has reached to 175 at per estimate, nearly 10 times you can see. Earlier we are talking about the livelihood, but now we are talking about the nutrition security. Certainly vegetable is one. We have developed the 64 varieties in hybrid and all these things, nearly 22 vegetable crops. This is at farmer's field. But nowadays again 20 more varieties in the pipeline.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Bijendra Singh, Director ICAR Indian Institute of Vegetable Research, Varanasi, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Thanks for being with us. And now on to the latest on the Darjeeling unrest. Leaders of the GJM and other parties in Darjeeling Hills have decided to start a fast unto death to press their demand for a separate state. Pro-Gorkhaland agitators again went on rampage on Friday on the 30th day of the indefinite shutdown in the Darjeeling Hills, setting afire a CRPF office, a state-run library and a police outpost amid unabated violence. Hills witnessed violence despite continued deployment of 3 columns of army in Darjeeling, Kalimpong and Sonada. The centre is deploying 4 additional companies of CRPF to maintain law and order in Darjeeling and Kalimpong, which have been hit by the agitation for a separate Gorkhaland. 11 CRPF companies are already deployed. On to the latest from weather front. The flood situation remains grim in northeast. The death toll rose to 83 across Assam, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju, along with Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu, took stock of the prevailing situation. Here is a detailed report.
The flood situation remains grim in the northeastern states. The death toll has risen to 83 across 58 districts in Assam, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. In Assam, rains have affected more than 17 lakh people in 26 of the 35 districts. The Brahmaputra and its tributaries submerged 2,500 villages and destroyed 1.06 lakh hectares of cropland. Around 52 people have lost their lives so far. At the Kazi National Park, 62% of the area is underwater, leaving some animals dead and some moving to nearby highlands. While in Arunachal Pradesh, at least 14 people were killed after a landslide triggered by heavy rains hit Papumpare district. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju and Arunachal Pradesh's Chief Minister Pema Khandu visited flood and landslide affected areas. First, they undertook an aerial survey of the affected areas. The Union Minister also compensated the victims' families with 10 lakh rupees each. While the Chief Minister said that the restoration process will continue once the rain settles down.
रेनफॉल जब हेवी हो जाते हैं तो इस तरह से कोई दुर्घटना ना हो तो हमारे जो डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट जो डिपार्टमेंट है वो अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स वगैरह तो गांव में करते हैं और हमारे जितने भी जो जिला है तो वो जिला प्रशासन भी सभी गांव और शहरों में उसका जो अवेयरनेस कैंपेन जो वो करते हैं.
NDRF teams are working with the district administrations round the clock to carry relief and rescue operations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And shifting our focus on the international front, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has rejected the Panama probe panel's report as a bundle of baseless allegations. The Prime Minister tried to drum up support from his party ahead of the crucial hearing of the graft case against him and his family in the Supreme Court. He chaired a parliamentary party meeting of PMLN on Friday. He dismissed the report and the increasing demand from the opposition to step down. The JIT, in its report submitted to the Supreme Court on July 10th, recommended that a corruption case be filed against Sharif and his sons Hassan and Hussein, as well as his daughter Mariam. Sharif said an unjustified campaign against his government was launched soon after he won the 2013 elections. The meeting, the 4th high-level meeting in the 5 days, was called amid reports of the ruptures within the ranks of PMLN. An anti-terrorism court in Pakistan on Friday ordered the seizure of properties of opposition leader Imran Khan and cleric-turned-politician Tehrul Qadri. The move came after they failed to appear in the hearings of the terrorism cases registered against them. The ATC in Islamabad heard the case, which was registered with the Secretariat Police Station against the duo for committing violence during the protest in 2014. The court has also issued notices to relevant police stations and revenue boards to implement the order. On February 3rd, the ATC had issued perpetual arrest warrants against Khan, the chairman of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and Qadri, the chief of Pakistan Awami Tehreek. So far, police have failed to arrest the two leaders due to the political reasons and fear of backlash by their supporters. Both Khan and Qadri have also demanded Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's resignation in the wake of the Panama Papers leak. US says it is still not sure if Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was dead, this despite reports from Syria saying so. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis on Friday said that US could not prove Baghdadi had been killed. It is noteworthy that the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights early this week said that it had confirmed information that al-Baghdadi had been killed. However, Western and Iraqi officials have been skeptical. The US has placed a $25 million bounty on Baghdadi's head. Last month, Russia had claimed it had likely killed Baghdadi in an airstrike on the southern suburb of Raqqa.
Finally, there's been a lot of media interest in the whereabouts and status of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Despite all the helpful reports to us from every source imaginable, I'm unable to confirm or deny where he is or whether he is alive or dead. Let me just say for the record, my fervent hope is it is the latter.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon said on Friday that US forces have killed Abu Saeed, the leader of IS Khorasan, the terror group's Afghanistan affiliate. Saeed was reportedly killed in a strike on the group's headquarters in Kunar province on 11th of July. Afghan and US forces launched a counter-IS offensive in Afghanistan early in March this year, with the US pledging to drive the terror group out of country by the end of 2017. In the ICC Women's World Cup, India will take on New Zealand in a virtual quarterfinal today in Derby, with England, Australia and South Africa already through to the last four. The winner of today's match will notch the last semi-final spot. Indian Eves had started the campaign on a high, winning their first four matches, but a slump in form in their last two games saw them suffering crushing defeats at the hands of South Africa and Australia. Just like India, New Zealand too are facing a must-win situation and are currently lying at the 5th spot in the standings with 7 points from 8 games.
Beautifully connected over the head and 6.
At the Wimbledon, Roger Federer will face Marin Cilic in the men's singles final on Sunday. 18 times Grand Slam champion Federer, who is seeking a historic 8th Wimbledon title, defeated 11th seed Thomas Berdych in straight sets in the semi-finals. The world number 3 was tested in the first 2 sets by his Czech opponent, but the Swiss once again prevailed without dropping a set as he won 7-6, 7-6, 6-4. At 35 years of age, Federer is the second oldest man to reach a Grand Slam semi-final after the 39-year-old Ken Rosewall, who reached the 1974 Wimbledon final. In the other semi-final, Croatia's 7th seed Marin Cilic overcame America's Sam Querrey in the tough encounter to reach their first Wimbledon final. The pair's previous meeting at Wimbledon in 2012 had lasted over 5 hours, and once again it looked to go the distance. However, after being a set down, the former US Open champion Cilic came back to win 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-5. And in today's play, American 10th seed Venus Williams and Spain's Garbine Muguruza will battle it out for the women's singles final. 37-year-old Williams could become the oldest woman to win a Grand Slam singles title in the Open era, overtaking her sister Serena's record, who won Australian Open at 35 years of age. The cast of movie Ragdesh, produced by Rajya Sabha Television, was in New Delhi to promote the film. National Award winner Tigmanshu Dhulia has directed the film that has Kunal Kapoor, Mohit Marwa and Amit Saad in the lead roles. The movie, based on the famous Red Fort trials, will be released on 28th of July. Rajya Sabha TV correspondent Anu Diwan spoke to the star cast.
I think they're ready to surrender.
आईएनए की भागी फौजियों पर अंग्रेज देशद्रोह का मुकदमा चलाएंगे।
उन तीनों के बचने के चांसेस कम हैं।
ये कोई आम केस नहीं, कोर्ट मार्शल है।
भारत की आज़ादी के कुछ ऐसे पन्ने जिनके बारे में हमने बहुत कम सुना था, लेकिन अब वो जल्द ही एक पिक्चर के रूप में आपके सामने आएंगे। पूरी फिल्म रागदेश की पूरी फिल्म की टीम हमारे साथ है। तिग्मांशु सर हैं, डायरेक्टर मोहित मारवा एंड कुणाल कपूर। सर, सबसे पहले आपसे एक सवाल, रागदेश टाइटल, ये आपने नाम क्यों चुना?
ये फिल्म उस जन्म का संगीत है, तो हमने कहा राग देश। अब एक हमारे हिंदुस्तानी क्लासिकल में एक देश राग करके एक राग भी है, तो मुझे वो स्ट्राइक किया, मैंने ये स्ट्राइक किया। और मुझे दिमाग में बहुत चला था ग्रिफिथ की फिल्म बर्थ ऑफ अ नेशन, मैंने कहा बर्थ ऑफ अ नेशन, राग देश, देश राग, मैंने कहा राग देश, यही होगा टाइटल। मैं इतिहास का स्टूडेंट हूँ, इतिहास से प्रेम करता हूँ, इतिहास को एक नज़रिए से देखना चाहता हूँ, तो मैंने थोड़ा ज़्यादा तरजीह दी है इसको।
हमारे साथ फिल्म के मेन लीड्स मोहित मारवा और कुणाल कपूर भी है। मोहित, सबसे पहले आप जो है कर्नल सहगल का रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं, आपके लिए उनको समझना कितना बड़ा चैलेंज?
चैलेंज तो था, क्योंकि वो मुझसे काफ़ी हटके थे, उनकी जो पर्सनैलिटी थी। और पर मैंने क्या किया कि मैंने चीज़ें ऐसी ढूंढी जो हमें कुछ सिमिलर चीज़ें मिल सके, वो सिमिलैरिटीज़ मैंने ढूंढी, उन्हें अपना बनाया।
कुणाल, आप रंग दे बसंती के बाद आपके लिए ये ऐसा एक मौका था जिसमें आप मेजर जनरल का रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं। ये रोल के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए, और ये कितना आपके लिए चैलेंज रहा है ये रोल?
ये रोल शाहनवाज़ खान ऑब्वियसली प्ले कर रहा हूँ मैं, और मुझे शाहनवाज़ खान बहुत ज़्यादा फैसिनेटिंग लगे। चैलेंजिंग ये था, जैसे सर कहते हैं, हम सबको मार्च पास करने में सिंक में मार्च पास करने में बहुत चैलेंजिंग लगा। लेकिन ऑन अ सीरियस नोट, चैलेंजिंग ये था कि उस दौर के, एक तो जैसे मैंने कहा मानसिकता को समझना, दूसरा बॉडी लैंग्वेज बिल्कुल अलग थी उस ज़माने में। लोग चलते अलग तरीके से थे, बैठते अलग तरीके से थे, बोलते अलग तरीके से थे, तो उस सब को अपनी फिजिकलिटी में लेकर आना, अपनी आवाज़ में लेकर आना, वो चैलेंजिंग था हम सब के लिए।
तो ये थी हमारे साथ पूरी टीम। रागदेश की फिल्म रिलीज़ हो रही है अगले हफ्ते 28 जुलाई को। कैमरा पर्सन अश्विनी के साथ अनु दीवान, राज्यसभा टीवी, नोएडा।
And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.